plant-powered community and health enthusiasts. I'm Velin Hawkins, CEO of Vegan Visibility Productions and host of the Veganpreneur REVOLUTIon Podcast. I'm so excited to conduct this special interview series leading up to the Georgia VegFest. And of course, it's going to be happening on August 2nd and 3rd at the Cobb County Civic Center in Marietta. So we're doing this with, yes, some real intention. And that intention is to inform you with enough to be able to say, I want to go. I want to be there because we want you there. Now, in this series, I'm sitting down with the brilliant minds who will be gracing the Georgia Veg Fest stages. They're incredible speakers and presenters, and they're doing such amazing work in the world. And our goal is to give you a sneak peek into who they are, the passion behind their journeys, and the profound impact of the work they do to help heal people, spread compassion, and save our planet. So get ready to be inspired, gain valuable insights, and prepare yourselves for an unforgettable weekend at the Georgia Veg Fest because we want you to be there. And right now, I am interviewing Kelley Gilberry. And you're going to find out a little bit about him as we go through this really unique type of interview. Well, not necessarily a unique type of interview, but it's going to be unique because we're going to be talking about the Georgia Veg Fest. But Kelley, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here. Fantastic. Good to meet you.
Well, great to meet you too. And I am so excited. You have got such an amazing background here. And I just want to start off by saying, and giving the audience a little bit of information, your journey to becoming a certified holistic nutritionist and health coach is amazing, but I understand it's deeply personal and it's culminating in your book, Plants Saved My Life. I love that title. Share a bit about that pivotal moment that led you to embrace this whole food plant-based lifestyle and pursue this work. I'm curious.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you asking that question. Yeah, so like you were saying, so I'm a certified holistic nutritionist, health coach. But before that, I wasn't always a health coach. I wasn't always a nutritionist. A few years prior to that, I was actually in the worst shape of my life. I was a diabetic, had heart disease, and I was obese. The triple whammy. So, I go to the doctor and I get prescribed all different types of meds. But here's the thing, though. It was all at the same doctor's visit. Wasn't separate stuff. This was, hey, Kelley, it's the triple whammy. So it's a hat trick. You know how if you watch hockey, they throw their hats down on the ground if you score 3 goals in one game. It's called a hat trick. But that's what it was for me. It's a hat trick. But it wasn't a celebration. People will celebrate you. But this wasn't a time for celebration. Actually, it was a time for reflection. The diagnosis hit me like a ton of bricks, like a freight train, right? Sitting in the doctor's office and he comes in with his clipboard and gives me the diagnosis, diabetes, heart disease, obesity. But what makes it even crazier, what makes it even worse than that was my mother had just passed away a couple months prior from the exact same condition, metabolic syndrome. So she passed away from the exact same condition. Then I go and I get diagnosed a couple of months later, so that's why it hit me like a ton of bricks. So I understand now why men, we would rather be on our deathbeds than, go to the doctor, right? Because we don't want to get that diagnosis. That's kind of where it started. That's where it started. So so I clawed my way out of it. So no longer diabetic, heart disease, and obese. And that's all through the power of plant-based nutrition. That is when I discovered it because my mother came to me and told me that after she passed away, told me that I had this ability to be able to help other people heal. But when she came to me, keep in mind, I'm obese, I'm a diabetic, and I got heart disease. Like, what do I know about healing anybody? So that was where the pivot came. So I didn't really understand that until my uncle ended up passing away a year later from cancer. So I was his caretaker all the way up until the last 5 days of his life. For the last 6 months of his life, I was his caretaker, and then until the last 5 days when we took him home. And then I saw both sides of death. I saw how it would take you out like that quickly from a heart attack, and then I saw how it would take you out slowly from something like cancer. So that, when he passed away, I instantly knew what that dream meant. It meant that A, I needed to take my health into my own hands, transform my own health, and then B, transform the health of everybody on this planet. So that is my mission on this planet. It's mainly specifically for diabetes. I'm tackling diabetes is what I specialize in. But that's my goal. That's my mission on this planet, to eradicate diabetes from the face of the earth.
It's a huge mission, and it's, I love the whole impossible is really I'm possible. It's possible. And from what we know, eradicating diabetes is possible. And I would love to see it happen. And I'm really grateful to be able to share in this part of your journey with you, because there are so many people who are suffering needlessly. And part of it is because we've been conditioned to receive certain information that we've accepted versus questioned. And then beyond questioning is finding real answers. Because if one person can make a change like that, why can't everyone? And then really bring it down to personal choice. And you made some personal choices that were, I mean, for you to have done that, made that shift, those personal choices had to have had a major impact on you. Give us a feel for where it actually started in choosing. Did it start with you doing research? Did it start with you saying, I know it's what I eat, let me just start eating better? Where did all of that start?
It started in the garage. Started in the garage when my uncle passed away. When he passed away, I just went in the garage and I just wept. I just cried, uncontrollably when he passed away. But when he passed away, it's literally, it just came to me. It was like, I told you, like that dream. It was like when I cried and I finished crying, it was like, at that moment, it was like an epiphany. It's just like, oh, this is what you're supposed to do, son. And I was like, I get it, it makes sense now. I understand the dream. So that was the pivot. That was the pivot to say, I understand what I'm supposed to do. So I started doing mad research. I literally you're talking about research? I literally turned myself into a mad scientist. Like, not mad scientist, like I was literally mad. I was still angry from the fact that my mother passed away from heart disease, which is, just accumulation of eating a bunch of junk and all that kind of stuff. So that is where it started for me. Started in that garage, and I just started doing mad research, more and more. And all the research I kept doing kept pointing back to it's the food. It's the food. The reason that your mom is no longer here is because of the food. The reason that you were diabetic and got heart disease is because of the food. And then the more and more research I did, of course, I started watching all the documentaries. This was during COVID, so everybody was staying home. So I'm just flooding my head with information. And I'm not even joking. When I say I turned myself into a mad scientist, people are like, well, Kelley, you know so much. You got so much information. How do you know all this stuff? It's because I literally turned myself into a mad scientist. Then I went back to school and got certified in nutrition. And then it just honed it in even more. And I started using like, oh yeah, food is medicine, and the medicine is the food. So it's our diet and lifestyle that caused the condition. So it wasn't the medication that caused me to get diabetic. It wasn't the medication that caused me to have heart disease. It wasn't the medication that caused me to be obese. You know what it was? It was my diet and it was my lifestyle. Those not getting these four areas right, not having a peaceful mind, not having an active body, not clean eating, and not having effective sleep. Those four areas. PACE. I was not maintaining my pace for optimal health. And then once I figured that out, I started maintaining my pace. All of the weight came off, reversed diabetes, reversed heart disease. No, I went from an extra large shirt to a small shirt. And here's why: through the power of lifestyle medicine. So that's my philosophy. And it should always, always, always be lifestyle first, medication second.
Yes, yes. I think lifestyle is the number one go-to for, is this the solution to any health problem? Um, and, when you think about focusing on tackling chronic health issues at their source, for somebody who feels trapped in chronic illness, I'm this way, it's going to be so hard for me to shift. What's one immediate mindset shift that you'd encourage them to make about their ability to heal naturally?
Here's the thing: for things to change, you have to change. That's the thing. For things to change, you have to change. If you got to that point where you're sick and tired about being sick and tired and stuck, like I talk to a lot of people who are diabetics all the time, diabetes and pre-diabetes. They'll tell me like, hey, my numbers have been stuck at 6.1 for years. Or my numbers have been stuck at, I can't get my blood sugar below 250 for years. That's what they tell me. So I say, all right, here's what's got to happen. This is what you want. You want your blood sugar to be stable. You want to lose the weight. You want to kick the meds, right? Here's what you got to do. You want to be that person. That's who you want to be. You're not that person yet. So therefore, if you want that, that means that you're not that person yet. That means that something has to change. And for things to change, you got to change. Or else here's what's going to happen. Things are going to stay the same. You fast forward 2 or 3 months, we check back with you. Hey, what's changed? Nothing changed. Because if nothing changes, nothing changes. So that would be the advice that I would give to them. They have to go look in the mirror and ask themselves, give me 5 good reasons as to why I deserve better health. You go in there and you answer those questions. 5 good reasons as to why I deserve better health. And you answer those questions, that will start to change your mindset. Or here's another one. Is what I'm about to do today. If you wake up and you say, what I'm about to do today, if this was your last day on this earth, would you want to do today what I'm about to do? This is your last day on this earth. Would you want to do today what you're about to do for the rest of the day? But the answer is no. The answer is no too many days in a row. That means something has to change. So that's what I would tell someone. For things to change, you got to change.
Mm-hmm. And it's the decision to make the change. I often hear people say, well, all I have to do is make the choice. Well, making the choice is one thing, but you have to decide to do, decide and do. And choosing is just a matter of saying it's out here for me. I choose that, but it doesn't necessarily put you there to decide, to having made that decision. And you made a decision not only in that garage, but in that initial journey that you were on. And that's amazing. It warms my heart to know that there are some of us who have gone to that extreme, and I think there's so many of us who have health story. I was sick, I had 2 full knee replacement surgeries, and I've been on a journey, still on that journey. And it's about the decision that I made that I was going to have this surgery. And then it was the decision that I made that I was going to stay plant-based, that I was going to use plants as my food. Tell us a little bit about the story behind your book, Plants Saved My Life.
Thank you for asking that about the book. That's exactly it. That's why the title is called Plant Saved My Life. Because like I said, I was diagnosed with all of these chronic health conditions, metabolic syndrome. So had I not changed, we wouldn't be on. I can tell you, I can almost pretty much guarantee that we wouldn't be on this call right now, 5 years later, because plants literally saved my life. Like had I not changed the path that I was going down, it was a heart attack. Because I was already had heart disease. I had already experienced severe angina. So angina is restricted blood flow to the heart. That's what it is. So if it's restricted blood flow to the heart, I mean, you feel pain. You can just be sitting on the couch or watching a football game. You'll feel your chest just start hurting. And then the pain will go down your left side of your arm. And then sometimes it will get so bad that it will drop you to your knees. So I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for plants. So that's why the book's called Plant Saved My Life. So I'm teaching you a whole lesson. So I was an instructor at the Naval Academy. And I learned how to teach people in such a way as like to use my story and to put it in a story format. Put it in a story or an analogy or a metaphor. Like that's how my brain works. An analogy and a metaphor. So basically the book is everything. I'm using my story, but I'm telling you everything from A to Z on how to transform your health. If you're a person that doesn't know anything about health or why you're struggling with this condition or that condition, when you read that book from A to Z, I'm going to take you from the beginning all the way to the end on why, you're struggling, your health is struggling right now. So that is what the book is all about. The book is just to educate you on the why. It's giving you some tactics and practicality as well, but the why is the most important. So once you understand the why, then everything else will make sense. So that's why the book is called Plants Saved My Life, because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for plants.
Well, thank you, plants. So, Kelley, given your experience, what do you see as the biggest ineffective behaviors or habits or beliefs that people have around food, and those things that prevent them from reaching their health goals, from saying, I really don't need this, I don't need meat, or, what what is the biggest thing that you see that really holds people back?
From going plant-based or just from food in general?
Food in general,
Okay.
because I'm a firm believer that, if it takes baby steps, take baby steps, add more vegetables to your plate than you do anything else. And, you make a plan and work the plan. But what really is the thing that keeps people from saying, I can't do that?
Here's the thing that keeps people from doing it. Change, like I talked about before, when it comes to change, people hate change, right? That is because what it means is when people say, oh, eating healthy, they put eating healthy in a category. Like, what do you mean eating healthy? Put it in a category. All right. So when it comes to change, people do not want to change. People don't want to give up their ham hocks, their smoked neck bone, their macaroni and cheese, their all of the soul food that we eat in our community. Like, people do not want to give that up. And here's why they don't want to give it up. Because A, it tastes good. It's what we were brought up eating. And then we believe that it's just food. Like, for instance, one time I was talking to a nurse and we were kind of having a heated debate. We were talking about where all these chronic health conditions come from. And I told her, it's the food. And she was like, well, what do you mean it's the food? Food is just food. I'm like, what do you mean food is just food? It's food is medicine, and then the medicine is the food. So A, limiting belief saying that food is just food, and then also growing up in our culture. The culture that we had, we don't want to feel left out. We don't want to, we go to a barbecue, we go to here, we go there, and then people are looking at you strange, like, oh, well, you're not eating this? Why are you not eating this? It's a lot of pressure that from the outside world is saying, like, you're weird for eating healthy. Like, you're eating plants, like, that's weird, right? We're at a barbecue, everybody else is eating pork chops and ribs and all of that stuff, and you're only eating plants, like, that's weird. So people don't want to feel left out. So that's a limited. So that is peer pressure will hold people back. Because here's the thing I tell people about that. What are your values? What are your values? So here are my values. My values are my mother passed away from a heart attack. A lot of people in my family passed away from chronic health conditions. Then I get diagnosed with chronic health conditions. So when I look at food, when I go to a party or fight party or whatever, I look at the food and say, I don't want that because my value is, I know what my values are. My values are, I don't want to eat that because I value my health because I lost family members too that way. So that's my value. So when people are on the outside saying like, oh, giving you a hard time on the outside, you got to say, is that one of my values? Is caring about what other people think one of my values? Is that what I wrote down? Did I write that down on the paper? If I didn't write that down on the paper as far as my values, my top 5 values, then I shouldn't care what people think because I value my health more than what people think.
Mm-hmm,
But a lot of
mm-hmm.
people don't do that. They value what people think over their health. Right? They value what people think. Like, oh, so you're the black sheep. You're not eating all the stuff that we're eating, so you're an outcast. So people don't like feeling like an outcast. So they come back in, and then their health declines, and then it goes from there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes, and those of us who have been on that journey, who didn't, start plant-based at an early age. I was in my early 60s, late 50s, and I learned from a friend of mine that the way that I look at food and what it does to me, if it's healthy for me, I want it. If it's not, I know that my body has a reaction to it, one of which may be weight gain, the other bloating, inflammation, and if we look at those things in terms of what the medical profession calls allergies, right? That's my body saying, I don't want that. I'm going to give you a reaction that tells you, don't give me that anymore. I learned how to say, I can't eat that because I'm allergic to it. Dairy, I'm allergic to it. acne, inflammation, kidney stones, all kinds of I'm allergic to dairy. I leave dairy alone. And that has helped me on my journey. And I'm saying this because hopefully it'll help someone else too. But, if, especially if you aren't strong, you know your values, but you know that you remember how good that food used to taste. And, that sometimes can be enough to pull you back. I've heard stories from plant-based, plant-powered people who have said, I remember going and getting something and driving around and eating it because I couldn't take it home. I didn't want my family or friends to know that I was eating it, but it gave me a chance to eat whatever that was that wasn't part of the plant-based diet, the meat or whatever. And then, you get to the ethical place. The health is one side of looking at how you enter this journey. Ethics is another. I looked at the ethics of, how do I feel about how I get a piece of meat? What do they do to the chickens for me to get a piece of chicken? What do they do to a cow for me to get a steak? And did I want to continue to participate in that? And I think again, I go back to the whole allergy thing. And for me, that whole I'm allergic to the pain and suffering that they go through because it's going to end up in me and be pain and suffering. I don't want either of us to go through that. And so, people seeing the differences in people's journeys is so important. And that's one of the reasons that I love the Georgia Veg Fest. It really gives us an opportunity to not just see what's available in the way of food and goods that are vegan, but to hear the stories of how people entered this and to know that you're not alone. And, we're speaking about this. Did you have those experiences of going to the family events and having people to say, what's wrong with you? You're not
Of
eating
course,
this stuff?
of course, of course, of course. I mean, it's not. I'll make it even more personal as far as even when we go to the funerals. Like, go to the funerals, like, my mother passing away, my father passing away, my sister passing away, my uncle passing away. And then what do? Right afterwards? Right at the funeral, we're eating the same foods that put them in the coffin. Right.
Yep.
And I say,
It's
no,
kind of
I'm not eating
crazy.
that. Yeah, it's very crazy. They're like, hey, we're gonna go to the store. We're gonna go chip in on who wants to chip in on the ribs. I'm like, I don't. I'm not chipping in on the ribs, right? I'm not chipping in on the ribs. Sorry. So yeah, of course you're gonna get ostracized. I mean, that's all a part of it. That's all a part of it. People are gonna looking at that, like I said earlier. People are gonna look at you like you're weird. You're weird, bro. And people don't like that feeling of feeling like they're weird or feeling like they're an outcast. So just like you said, people will end up going back, like, it gets tugged back, like, or like somebody sneaking off and sneaking off and grabbing a double cheeseburger. Like even still today, like 4 or 5 years later, I still remember it because it's so deeply embedded in me. Like my cells will remember it instantly. If I went into McDonald's, it would be like I not. It would be like 4 or 5 years. It would be like I not even left. 4 years. It would have been like I not even left because that is how many double cheeseburgers with extra pickles and a small fry from McDonald's. I know the menu. What I would eat several times a week, right? So now, even though I'm
Mm-hmm.
plant-based now, I still pass by McDonald's and I don't go in there. I'm saying I smell it. You smell it and then your body remembers. It's like your senses remember that. Oh, I remember
Mm-hmm.
that smell. Like, wow. You know what I'm saying? Like you still have to fight those cravings. And you meet 4 years later, you know what I mean? So yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
that's it. So feeling like an outcast and you're having those cravings because that is, and it goes back to that is how we were raised. We were raised on those foods that we eat at the barbecue, or raised on the foods that we eat at the funeral. So the second you try to stop eating them, you're still going to have those callings because it is so deeply ingrained in your petri dish. You've been eating that way since you were a kid. So therefore, it's easy for your body to remember. You ate it for longer than you have not been eating it. So your body will
Right.
easily remember that.
Right. Which is so important to know that it requires you having that value structure and making the decision that nothing's going to overrule your values, right?
Absolutely. Your values. That's it. You don't got those values aligned, and that's not a part of your values, then it shouldn't bother you.
Right, right. Well, tell us a little bit about your topic at the VegFest, Unbottled Wellness, Wellness Without Limits. Tell us a little bit about what you're going to be talking about and why people should come hear you.
That's it, right? That's it. Wellness without limit. Here's my philosophy. It should always be lifestyle first, medication second. That's why it's called Unbottled Wellness. So that's the name of my company. That's the name of everything. Unbottled Wellness, because your wellness is not in the bottom of a bottle. So it is unbottled wellness. Your wellness is not in the bottom of a bottle. So that's what it's about. Wellness without limits. We're going to cover 3 areas. The 3 areas that I like to focus on is, first is the diagnosis. The diagnosis. It's just like, I want you to picture this. My keynote is just like this. I want you to picture like this. Just like being at the doctor's office. The first thing you get is the diagnosis. So that's what I'm going to cover with you, the diagnosis. The second thing that the doctor is going to give you when you get that diagnosis is the prescription. So that is when I break down my formula. It is lifestyle medicine. So I will give you the formula for lifestyle medicine. It's a 4-part process. Peaceful mind, active body, clean eating, effective sleep. PACE. Maintain your pace for optimal health. And then after that, the last stage is the treatment plan. So we'll talk more about the treatment plan. So that's how you can maintain what you've built already. So you've got your diagnosis. All right, now you realize your diagnosis. Now the next thing is to act and do the prescription. Then the next thing is how do you move forward? What's the treatment plan? So that's the journey. That's the experience that I'm going to take your audience on. All right,
Oh,
to
that is
understand, understand, just like you're at a doctor's office.
that is great. That is so needed in today's environment, especially where, you think about it, we've been so indoctrinated by, the food and dairy and industries, meat industries, that, like you said before, those things have been playing in our psyches for longer than we've had basically an argument against them. And so, what do we do to keep ourselves strong as we're moving forward on this journey? And I love that people are going to get some real solid steps and insights into how to do that, because that's where we get off track. It's not even falling off the fence. It really is just getting off track. It's going on a side road, and you're looking at doing even more damage to your health potentially. And so thank you. As I think about the Veg Fest and the audience that will be there with us, I love talking about utilizing food as medicine. And it's a really new concept to people, but it is such an old concept, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Hippocrates, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. And you mentioned that a little earlier. And if you've never heard that saying, you've heard the name Hippocrates, and
Mhm.
you know how far back that goes.
The
And
Hippocratic
to
Oath.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And the thing that doctors really should be doing for us, and a lot of doctors went into medicine with that in mind. I'm going to help heal people, but you go to medical school and you learn what they teach you, and what they teach you is what they want you to do
Mhm.
more than how they want you to really help people to heal. And unless you're like a surgeon, everything is about pills, it's about pharmaceuticals. And so, you know, I remember my co-host of the previous podcast and I were talking one day, and we both were looking at insurance. And we went to the um, what do you call it, the presentations where they're telling you about all of their insurance. And you sit next to somebody, and she was saying she sat next to this woman who was bragging about being on 22 different medications.
Mhm.
And all I could think of was, you are just walking yourself into that grave, because you don't know that what 22 medications inside your core body is going to do. And so, when we're looking at helping ourselves, there are several things that come into play. And one is big thing for me, education, which is where you come in and why you're going to be at the VegFest. And I'm so grateful for that, because the education that people get now is really about unlearning what we had learned and learning the truth that has been hidden from us, but that we've been able to see because, we've all seen our relatives passing early. My dad died at the age of 29 from a massive heart attack. Nobody could explain to me what happened, why. He looked fairly healthy, he wasn't overweight, but with diet back in those days, it could have very well have been high cholesterol. It could have been, all of these underlying symptoms, and diabetes doesn't have to show up in obesity, which a lot of people think does as well. And so thank you for bringing your knowledge and wisdom and talents to the Georgia Veg Fest. As we're wrapping this up, what's the ultimate vision that you have for people who adopt an unbottled wellness approach? What kind of life can they truly create for themselves?
Thank you for asking that. Just like I was saying earlier, it is lifestyle first, medication second. That is the lifestyle that you can imagine. You get those 4 pillars right, having a peaceful mind, having an active body, clean eating, when we talk about clean eating, and effective sleep. You know what the limit is? The sky is the limit. That's why it's called wellness without limits. There are no limits to your wellness. Your body will heal itself. If given the right environment and if given the right amount of time, your body will heal itself. You put it in the right environment, and if you give it the right amount of time, it will heal itself, because that's what it wants to do. It wants to be in homeostasis, which is balance. So that is the message that I'll give to folks is, if you can't fix it with your lifestyle first, then we can talk about the meds. But I'm almost very, very, because most of these 10 out of the top 10 diseases that people have, they're all lifestyle conditions. They're all lifestyle related conditions. So here's the thing about that. People are like, well, how do you get rid of these conditions? Well, the same way that you got it, here's how you get it. The same way that you got it, it's the same way that you get rid of it. That's it. It was your lifestyle that caused it. You just got to reverse engineer the thing and just do the opposite of what you do. Well, remember all that stuff that led to poor health? All the stuff you did in stress management, activity, eating, sleeping, all the stuff that went wrong in those areas? Let's do the opposite this go around, and your condition will cease to exist.
Beautiful. Well said. And thank you. I'm looking forward to hearing your presentation and welcoming everybody in the Atlanta area who can join us August 2nd and 3rd from 12 to 5 p.m. Eastern. Be there. Be with us. Check out the venue and all of the other vendors, and check out the educational segments. We're going to all be in the education room giving the presentations. And at the end of each day, there will be a panel discussion, and Kelley will be on both panels. So you don't want to miss this. Join us. Be there early so that you can hear all of the speakers and participate, get your questions answered. And yeah, we'll give you time to enjoy the food and everything else that's going on there as well. So thank you, Kelley, for joining me today on the Veganpreneur Revolution podcast to talk about the upcoming Georgia Veg Fest and what you're going to be doing while there. And to our audience, thanks for joining us today. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.
Thanks for the invite.